Hopefully, it's starting to rain, and I hear it's going to be really bad. So hopefully this live stream won't get cut off. Also, I have my charger plugged in, so if I move the laptop funny, set it, and any sudden movements, it might cut off the stream. So um, I may have to do this over again, but here it goes. Well, first of all, Kevin, how are you? Thank you so much for checking in on me. I don't have my own line of clothes yet, but it baby steps, right? Anyways, hopefully everybody's doing well and safe and you're healthy amid this whole coronavirus, staying at home, self quarantine, this worldwide pandemic, right? Hey, what's up, Hattie? How are you? So, I just wanted to share some ideas that have been super helpful for me, especially because I went through a period of grieving. I went through all the stages of grief when I went through my divorce. And had I understood the grieving process better, had I understood it before I went into my divorce, I don't think that I would have made the same mistakes, or maybe I wouldn't have made such terrible decisions because I would have understood where this anger was coming from, where these strong emotions were coming from. They were coming from the grieving process, the loss of identity, the loss of a relationship that we built over a decade, almost 15 years. And the loss of my children being there. All of this, just the feelings of sadness, the feelings of despair, then that led to anger and things like that. And I had no idea what was going on until somebody actually explained it to me and told me, you're grieving, you're going through the stages of grief. And I think that right now, it's helpful to understand that what we're going through right now is called grief. And I got this idea from an article by Scott Baronato, and he's a senior editor for Harvard Business Review. And I put the link for the article on the description here. Dana and Lilu the cat. What's up, Dana and Lilu? Happy Easter to you. Valkyrie Dog Grooming. What's up, Valkyrie Dog Grooming? Are you saving this? I'm putting my dog down tomorrow. Oh, that's tough. Talk about grieving, right? That's tough. Yeah, I mean, I plan on saving this, leaving it up for people who haven't watched. I really need this. Oh my goodness, I'm really, really sorry to hear that. Um, Man, where was I going with this? That really sucks. And I feel it more deeply because my dog is 14 and she's starting to slow down. When we go on walks now, it's like it's not even a walk; it's a stroll. She just takes her time, and she just smells, and it's beautiful and sad at the same time. And I see how happy she is on her face. She's smiling, enjoying the sunlight, and but I know that she doesn't have long left, and yeah, it's gonna be tough. Valkyrie says mass tumor found today. Oh my goodness. Wow, but yeah, so here's the thing. It's not only is it important, but it's necessary to allow ourselves to feel all of the feelings, the sadness, the anger, the bargaining sometimes. All of this is necessary. Not only is it necessary, it's healthy, and it's only the only way we can move past a tragedy or a crisis or anything that comes and just turns our life upside down. Um, didn't mean to jack this. Continue being amazing. No, no, Valkyrie, thank you so much because I mean, that actually ties in exactly with what we're talking about tonight, right? So this idea, the article is written by Scott Baronato, and he references or refers to David Kessler's ideas on grief, and he actually interviewed David Kessler for that article. Now, David Kessler is the leading expert in grief, and he's written several best-selling books about the subject. Now, he says, this is a quote, "What we're feeling right now, collectively, all of us, We're feeling the loss of normalcy. We're grieving the loss of normalcy, the fear of economic toll, the loss of connection, right? Being able to connect with others, hang out, have a beer, shake someone's hand, give somebody a hug. We've lost our sense of connection with others. Um, he says this is hitting us, and we're grieving collectively. We are not used to this kind of collective grief in the air. Isn't that how I love how he stated that? We are all grieving collectively, and we're not used to this. We're not used to this kind of grief in the air. You can literally feel it. When I'm walking my dogs in the park, for example, I look on people's faces and I see stress. I see fear, worry, concern, you know, and it's not easy. We're all feeling it. It's hard to sometimes bring yourself back into the moment and enjoy the beautiful scenery around you when you're worried about utility bills possibly getting cut off, or how you're going to pay for things, and you know, the uncertainty of it all, not knowing when things will go back to normal. It really occupies our mind so much that sometimes it's hard to even see the beauty in front of us in that moment because we're so worried about the future. And also feeling some nostalgia about the past, right? We feel some sadness, like, man, I wish things were the way they used to be, things like that. Now, one thing he talks about in the article that I think is important is called anticipatory grief. Grief is exactly what it sounds like, and it's grief that we feel in anticipation towards what's going to happen. So, anticipatory grief, he defines it as that feeling we get about the future, about what the future holds when we're uncertain. So, example that he gives is Dana and Lilu the cat. I'm missing petting people's dogs and letting kids pet Lilu when I take her out on her stroller. Yeah, exactly. When I walk by people, especially kids, they love Weemy, my little Shih Tzu mix, especially because he's all long and shaggy and he has his hair tied up. They just want to pet him. And it's just so, I miss that too, you know, because I just have to like keep our distance, you know, and just keep, you know, walking forward. Oh man, we've lost a sense of normalcy. Our normal way of life is gone, and we have to acknowledge that. It's important to take a moment to acknowledge that we've lost a sense of normal life, a sense of identity of who we are. Because I take a lot of pride in saying I'm a dog groomer, right, and going out and grooming dogs every day. Now that that's kind of taken away, and I have to stay home, you lose a sense of purpose. You lose the sense of identity. Who am I now? I'm just I'm just a chubby Asian guy who likes to cook, I guess. You know? And also drink some beer. Okay. So a couple examples he gives of anticipatory grief. What it sounds like. There's a storm coming. That feeling that there's a storm coming, right? There's something bad out there. You know, you can't really put a finger on it, but you can feel there's a sense of a looming threat. You know, there's something bad out there, right? Like the virus. I saw some memes on Facebook actually showing what the coronaviruses look like if they were all, you know, blown up and, you know, filling the streets and in the air. And it was saying, would you still go out if you could see it? You know, it's this unseen threat, this unseen menace, right? That's destroying our way of life. So this breaks our sense of safety. We're feeling that loss of safety, that security, that certainty of tomorrow, knowing what tomorrow is going to be like. We've lost that, and so that is what's adding to these emotions that we're feeling, that discomfort, the uneasiness we're feeling right now, the anticipatory grief. And later on, he actually says that anticipatory grief really is anxiety. And anxiety is the mind going into the future and imagining the worst, right? So what he says is you don't resist the anxiety. Don't resist it, and you can't fight it either. The mind will not allow us to ignore or force ourselves not to feel these feelings. We can't force ourselves to just not feel it. We can't fight it. In fact, the more we try to resist or ignore it, the more painful and more powerful those feelings become. So rather than try to fight it, because what we resist tends to persist, rather than try to fight it, he says, bring yourself back to this present moment. And there's a lot of grounding techniques. One of the techniques that he describes in this article is name 5 things that you can see in this room right now: the lamp, a TV, an alarm clock. I see this bed. You know, and bring yourself back to this present moment. My friend Lee Rowley, she actually has a really funny kind of, but she says it works. Whenever she starts feeling that panic, that anxiety taking over, she stomps her feet on the ground to literally ground herself, bring herself back to the moment. And what I like to do is I like to question myself, right? And just remind myself that at this moment, I'm okay. At this moment, I have a place to sleep. I have food to eat. I'm okay. You know? Like, because what happens is our minds jump to the future, right? Oh my God, I can't pay for this, and oh my God, I can't, and then oh my God, I'm gonna be out on the streets with no money. I won't have a car. I won't have a way to provide for myself or my children. I'm gonna be destitute. I'm gonna be a desolate. You know, I'm just gonna be out, just a desperate bum. You know, and I'm gonna be totally helpless, and I'll be starving and scrounging for food, and I don't want to live like that, you know? And then I can ask myself, but is that happening right now? No, none of that's happening right now. Okay, well, in this moment, I'm okay, right? Just bring myself back to this present moment. You know, there's a really cool episode on the Twilight Zone, the old 1960s version of the Twilight Zone. There's an episode called The Trouble with Templeton. And I actually did a Toastmaster speech about this, how the past does not want you, but the present moment needs you, right? And I'll just tell really briefly, this gentleman named Templeton, he's an elderly Broadway star now in the 60s, but in the 1920s, he was a huge megastar. They centered all of their marketing around him. He was the face on the posters for the plays. He was a big star. But now in the 1960s, 40 years later, he's an older man. He lost his wife, who he dearly loved, along with his best friend, and now he's married to this younger female who is just flirting with everybody, flirting with the pool boy, right in the beginning of the episode. And he tells his friend, confidant, servant guy, he tells him, when a gentleman my age marries a girl that age, he gets exactly what he deserves, you know? And you can tell he just has no fight in him. He just kind of resignation, just accepting everything. He's lost his spine, pretty much, his backbone. And he goes to this rehearsal, and the producer lets him know that they hired a new director. And this new young director is arrogant, aggressive. He's talking down to him and condescending. And Templeton just panics. He's like, oh, no, no, no. He just keeps repeating, no, 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 you know, because his mind he's having a panic attack. And he goes, no, no, no. And so he runs out the door, right? Runs out the door. And all of a sudden, he's transported into the 1920s. He looks on the streets, and it looks familiar, but, you know, it's not the same as when he went. And he sees a poster of himself, his young face, you know, the play that he was the headliner in. And then he asks a gentleman on the street, what year is it? And he says, 1927, Mr. Templeton. He says, by the way, your wife is waiting for you at the speakeasy. Because, you know, 1920s, there's prohibition, so they had to hide in certain places. And Lee, I just talked about you. Anyways, so he goes to the speakeasy where his wife and his best friend were waiting for him. And he's so happy to see his wife again. He loved her so dearly. And he would talk about her like she was an angel. Now, he goes and greets her. And his wife and his best friend completely treat him like dirt, like crap, right? They kind of dismissive, yeah, whatever, you know. He's trying to talk to them. They're just joking amongst themselves, laughing at his expense. And then finally she's dancing, you know, 1920 style flappers. And his best friend's, you know, clapping and, you know, cheering her on, encouraging her. And he's like, stop this. He's like, I just want to talk. So he grabs her arm and he's like, come with me. I just want to talk. Bam, she slaps him in his face and she goes, why don't you go back to where you came from? No one wants you here. And he's shocked. He holds his face where he was slapped and he's just in shock. And he walks out of there in a daze. I mean, he's just totally shocked at the treatment he just received from his late wife and his best friend that passed away. And he finds his way back to the rehearsal building where he first left. And he walks back through the doors, and immediately he's transported back to the 1960s, back to the present moment. He feels in his pocket. There's paper, folded up in his pocket. So he pulls it out. He opens it, and it's a play, and it says, "What to do when Templeton returns." And it was almost line for line how his wife treated him, how his best friend was dismissive, and he realized they were acting. They were acting because they knew that I was having a hard time in my own time, in my present, in the present moment. So I'm always going back to the past. But they don't want me there. They don't need me there. They want me to enjoy my life now. So he was like, they set me back. So then he straightened up, took ownership of the moment, took full ownership of this present moment of his life right now. And he realized, I own this moment, right? And so the director comes up to him and says, so have you changed your mind? Are you in or are you out? And he tells the director, this young man, I'm definitely in. And I will not tolerate being spoken to that way, especially by a man your age. And then he goes and sits at the table, and he says, shall we begin? You could tell he's a changed man. He's confident now, and he will not tolerate that kind of treatment, especially from a man that age, right? Because he's been through things. So the lesson that I wanted to share is that when our minds go into the past, we feel sad. The past will emotionally beat you up, literally. Every time I catch myself missing my daughters, thinking back to the times we had, laughing with them, playing with them, I feel so sad. I feel like crying because I miss those times. And I think that's why it hurts so much. That's why it's so painful. The past is literally beating me up emotionally to send me back to the present moment. This is where all our power is right now. And the same thing when our mind goes into the future and starts imagining all the bad things that could happen. Again, it's painful. Why? Because the future is now beating you up, sending you back to the present moment. The past doesn't want you there. The future doesn't need you there. But this present moment desperately needs you here. Okay. Let's see here. Let me get to a couple of comments. Dina says, I'm missing petting. Okay, I read that. Oh, Raquel's here. What's up, Raquel? Happy Easter. MP, happy Easter. Patty says happy Easter. And Lee, oh, nice. Oh, Buffy says hi to Lee. Okay, everyone's here. Buffy, thank you, Buffy. Blessings to you too. Okay. Wow, D2 says you're inappropriate for some viewers. Yeah, I am. And Alan Powell. Alan Powell. You know what? There's a song that's perfect. There's one line in there that I really like. It's called I Don't Give a Damn. And it's by my friend Shy Boog. Met him out in Arizona. But this line is for Alan Powell. Channel number 2, because I banned channel number 1. Haters gonna hate. I don't give a damn. Secretly, you're my number 1 fan. Anyways, Buffy, I agree with you, June. The past is over. Learn from it and better us. Yep. Raquel, my past beats me up too. Yep. Why do you think the past beats us up? It's because the past doesn't want us there. There's no power in the past, in reliving the past. And there's no power in the future and feeling anxiety about it. All of our power is right here, right now. This is where we have control over ourselves, at least, right? Okay, so now that we understand that what we're feeling right now, right, is called grief. Um, Buffy, I'm having deja vu. Maybe because I've talked about this before, but what we're dealing with right now, this discomfort that we're feeling, the the sadness, the anxiety, the fear, the anger, this is called grief. And once we understand that, we can manage it better. So now moving on to managing, how to manage our grief, right? How to manage our stress. Understanding is a start, is where we start by understanding, right? What is that quote? Nature cannot be controlled through force, only through understanding. We cannot control our nature by forcing it. We can only control our own nature by understanding it. Okay, now he David Kessler likes to mention that the stages of grief are non-linear. It's very subjective. Everybody goes through the grieving process differently. And also, it's not like once you move through all the stages of grief and you finally come to acceptance, you're done. That's not it either. He's saying sometimes even after we've come to accept whatever it is that we need to accept to move forward, sometimes we can go back into the different stages again: anger, sadness. And he's saying there's no rule to this. He says it's not a map, but it does provide some scaffolding for this unknown world. And I really like how he phrases that. Understanding the stages of grief, it's not a map, right? But it does provide some scaffolding for this unknown world. So by understanding grief and how we grieve, it doesn't give us a roadmap through it, but it does give us a good framework, right? It gives us a good base, a good foundation to get through it better. Okay. Let's see here. Buffy, I'm here for some wisdom, groom, preach. Nice. The last 2 days have been rough. Yeah, me too. I've been having some sleepless nights. I've been having some anxiety, because this has gone on a lot longer than I thought. When I first started to self quarantine, March 17th, I thought by now everything would be kind of back to normal. I'd be working again. Now that it's not, and it's going into mid-May now, no, mid-April now. Next week it'll be middle of April, and looks like we might be going into May. See, the uncertainty of all this is adding to my anxiety. Um, let's see. Alan says, my main channel is false copyright strike into deletion. Also, never hated you. Hate doesn't exist in my heart. Okay, cool. Cool story, bro. Buffy says, sorry to hear that, Lee. Lee, I actually mentioned you before you came on, talking about some grounding methods that you use, which was like stomping on the ground, stomping your feet on the ground to bring yourself back into this present moment. Excellent. And David Kessler has another technique where he says to name 5 things in the room just to bring yourself back into this present moment. Okay, so now I thought this was really helpful just to understand, just so we can see examples of what these different stages look like of grief. Let's see here. Couldn't sleep till 4 a.m. Yeah, Lee, same thing. So I even took melatonin. I took some melatonin pills, and usually that makes me feel really sleepy. Last night, I think I stayed up till about 2, 3 in the morning, and then I woke up around 5 or 6 in the morning again. Did my business, and went back to sleep. Woke up around 11, walked my dogs, made myself some brunch, and yeah, just I took a shower because I thought, you know what? I don't think I'm the only one going through this right now, and this information really was helpful. Um, so I thought to myself, let me go ahead and go on a live stream and talk about this, because whenever I feel like I'm doing something to try to help someone else, it always helps with my own personal anxiety and fears and depression. It just does. And David Kessler actually talks about this in his article as well. He says, stock up on compassion. When we feel compassion, empathy towards others, when we do things that are helpful to others, for no other reason than to just to be helpful, it lifts our spirits. It really does. And so I took a shower earlier. I haven't brushed my teeth, baby. I mean, not that you guys are going to smell my breath, but I figured, hey, I want to be presentable. I haven't brushed my teeth, baby, just so I could stream for you guys. Anyways, um, Lee says, name five things is excellent. Exactly. He's saying it sounds simple and elementary, but it really does. When you're in it, when you're just your thoughts are just swirling out of control. You're spiraling out of control, and you feel overwhelmed with despair, right? Then, at that moment, you can say, take a deep breath and say, I see a lamp, I see a mirror, I see a cabinet, I see a calendar. Okay, I see this, and just name things that are in the room and take a deep breath. And then again, I like to tell myself, at this moment, I'm okay. Right now, none of that is happening. And just at least for this present moment, allow yourself to just be in the moment, right? Okay. Let's see. All right, I don't know. Finally get up. Got my June. Oh, nice. My favorite groomer. Oh, this is my favorite groomer, Dee. What's up, Dee? So, yeah, Dee has been asking me to stream, and I just been telling her I just don't feel it. I don't feel it. I don't feel like doing it. And for me, once it starts to become, once this starts to feel like work, once it starts to feel like I'm doing this to get money or subscriber counts or likes or any attention or anything like that, I feel like it's not going to be enjoyable anymore. It's going to take all the fun out of it. So as soon as I start feeling obligated to do this, I don't want to do it anymore. And I just needed, especially after 5 hours of streaming, showing my nipple, lots of things happened that I regret. I needed some time to recuperate, refill the soul, replenish my soul, refresh my spirit, I guess. Raquel says, amitriptyline is my lifesaver. Amitriptyline. Oh, what is that? Should I meet you in the back? I only got $20 on me. No, I was kidding. Buffy, picked up on some tricky poop from your pubs. Yeah, I mean, we mean pooping on the edge of the cliff there? Seriously. Helping others really lifts us up. Exactly. It's true that when you do something for someone else, you're doing it for yourself. It really is true. When you help others, you're helping yourself. When you put someone else down, when you're mean to someone, you actually feel pretty bad. Or at least I do. I feel shitty about it the whole day, But only one day. Because Buffy says, amen. I feel amazing when I can do for others. Exactly. It helps you forget about your own depression for a little bit. Lee says, I have made a commitment to get up early and shower right away. It's helping me feel more connected. Yeah. Baby, Dee says, we need our fill of your energy and strength because you have a lot to give the world. Oh, thank you, Dee. I do feel obligated. I know people wear the lift. I know people wear the lift sometimes. Buffy says, June, you have so much wisdom to give, June, honestly. No, thank you. I appreciate that. When you fail so much in life, you pick up a few things. Dee says, so what? You're reading the feed as you go now, not at the end. Oh, no, I mean, I usually do read the comments as they come in. Lee says, that's why I don't sell my knitting. It goes from feeding me to being a burden. Yeah, exactly. It's a sleeping med. Oh, okay, Raquel says it's a sleeping med. Still, should I meet you out back in the alley? Anyways, Buffy says, June, you bring laughter and joy to others and honesty. You make me laugh so much. You do you, June. We love you for who you are. Thank you so much, Buffy. I appreciate that. You know what? Just for you, I'll do a sexy nose blow here. Oh, man. I didn't even turn the mic away because I wanted you to have the full effect. Why do I blow my nose so sexy like that? I don't understand. I don't know either. I tried not to. I tried to do a little bit more, just like a normal person, just be disgusting and gross about it. I tried, like that. Even, oh my god, even that was sexy. I can't stop it. I can't help it. Okay, anyways. So, now that I've lost all the casual subscribers, fuck them, right? Fuck them. They don't deserve what I'm about to spit next. They don't deserve the truth I'm about to spit next. Anyways. Throw it. Oh, man. Christine says, "Hey, June, still love you for what you did for my friend Dee Dee." Oh, thank you, Christine. Christine, were you the one that called me? Because I remember we had a really nice conversation. Let me silence my phone here because it's going to go off. Oh, man. Wow. Okay, messages. Oh, my God. Okay, anyways. Because when you get famous like I am. Anyways. Christine, thank you for calling me. And by the way, Christine, just a little tip. People who aren't stalkers or people who aren't psychotic stalkers usually don't feel the need to say that right in the beginning, like how you introduce yourself. I promise I'm not a crazy stalker. I thought, well, of course, right? I mean, usually somebody who's not a crazy stalker doesn't feel the need to text that first thing, how they introduce themselves. But it worked, Christine, and I loved your really sick sense of humor. I loved it. Anyways, I had a great conversation with Christine on the phone. Just on for a second. Cooking and preparing for homeschooling. Hell yeah. Nice. Okay, so Buffy says, "I got my Beaver Terrier, June. You made it happen with your Harley and Lily." Oh, nice. Awesome. That was me, buddy. Yeah, Christine. Okay, I thought that was you. Alrighty, because a crazy stalker would find my live stream and join, right? Okay, so here's what I wanted to go into. Ditto, dude. Did I say something like I'm not actually a really creepy Asian guy? Yeah, see, I mean, ditto. Yeah, fair play. Usually, a guy who's not creepy doesn't feel the need to say he's not creepy. So, yeah, fair play. You got me. Okay, so here's what the stages of grief look like. Just to give you some examples, right? Buffy, I'll send you a photo. Hold up. I don't know what that's in reference to, but I love it. Slide in my DM. Make sure it's rated anyways. Uh-huh. Sheena says, "Hey June, what's up? We will talk again." Oh, nice. Thank you for the warning. Fair warning. Anyways, happy Easter, Sheena. All right, so getting back to the stages of grief, right? What do the stages of grief look like in real life, right? So denial. Here's what denial looks like. This virus won't affect us. Or it's not real. It's not really real. This is all made up. It's just a hoax. Or it's just like the flu. So this is denial, right? So when you see people saying things like this or behaving in a way like, like, oh, it's just a government conspiracy. Oh, it's just a hoax. Rather than get mad at them like I do, oh, my blood boils. I'm like, oh, like I just want to like, oh, you stupid son of a bitch. That's because I'm angry, because I'm in the anger stage, right? But when we understand that people are just going through their different stages of grief and denial is just one of them, then we understand, okay, I don't have to be angry with this person. I can be more compassionate, more understanding. They're in the denial stage. And that's okay. That's how they're dealing with it, right? And then there's anger, right? And here's what anger looks like. You mean you're making me stay home and taking away my livelihood? All right? And then here's another anger stage, right? Can you believe these people out there? Can you believe, in the dog grooming industry especially, we're seeing it, can you believe these people just staying home, saying we're not essential? What do they want to make me feel bad because I'm out here trying to, pay my bills and take care of my family? I'm out here making the courageous choice to risk my safety to continue working to provide for my family, and you're going to make me feel bad? Fuck you, right? And then the people who are staying home, who are also feeling scared because they're not making an income, they're on the other side. They're like, can you believe these people? So selfish and inconsiderate, going out there and just spreading this virus, and they're not concerned about the safety of others. All they care about is themselves and making money for themselves. Can you believe these people? This is anger, and we're going through it. I saw a post on my Facebook. This guy, I was at the park the other day, and can you believe these people? Almost 300 people gathered, and no one's wearing a mask and all this stuff. It's like, I can't believe they're out here just treating it like it's a vacation. It's like, wait a minute, excuse me, you're at the park too. How would you even know to be angry at all these people if you weren't there to witness it? You're there at the park too. You're one of those people, you know? So we have to understand this is anger. It's part of it's one of the stages of grief. Um let's see. Hey Dee Dee, my sister, I miss you. Oh nice. Buffy of the dog, dude. Oh. All right. I'm not into doggy porn, but I'm not gonna judge. You send me whatever it is you have, Buffy. I'll take a look at it. Christine says he has risen. I am off now. Blessings to. Oh, thank you, Christine. Now that she's leaving, let's talk some shit about Christine. Bless you on this wonderful day. I'm in the avoidance stage. Yeah. Christine says, I will come back and watch the whole feed later. Okay, never mind. Scratch that. That's a bad idea. We're not going to talk shit about Christine. Lee says, MP, I feel you. Okay, Buffy says, I've lived through this 30 years of grief and come out with trust and faith. Could have used this message 30 years ago, but strengthens my resolve. Nice, Buffy. Nice. Well, 30 years ago, I was 9 years old. And I mean, I had pearls, I had pearls wisdom to drop back then as well. But, we didn't know each other 30 years ago. I was 9. You were what? 45? I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Anyways. Okay, back to the stages of grief. So now we're on to bargaining. Here's what bargaining looks like. Okay, so you're telling me if I social distance for 2 weeks, everything will be okay, right? Or, all right, so if I just stay home and quarantine myself for 2 weeks, you're saying everything will be back to normal, right? We could just go back to what things were, right? That's bargaining. It's like, no, not quite, right? Then there's sadness. Sadness looks like this. I don't know when things will ever end. I don't know when this will ever end. Or I wish things were the way they used to be. Or there's so much sadness and people dying and everyone's scared and sick and I don't know what to do. I don't know what I can do. This is sadness. And that's okay. We have to allow ourselves to feel it. Don't feel ashamed. Don't embarrass yourself or shame yourself or judge yourself for feeling these feelings. It's totally natural. Not only is it natural, it's necessary for you to progress through these stages of grief and finally come to acceptance. Okay. Lee, oh my gosh, you didn't call me 45 when you're not. Okay, moving on from that. Acceptance says so this is the final stage where we finally will come to if we allow ourselves to go through and allow ourselves to feel the feelings. Don't resist it. Don't try to ignore it, or talk yourself out of it, or negate it. In the article, even he said that a lot of times what we'll do is we'll have feelings about our feelings. We'll feel bad about feeling a certain way, and we'll tell ourselves, I feel bad that I feel this way because I know so many other people are going through so much worse right now. Don't, like Lee told me several times, what others go through doesn't negate what you're going through. What you're going through is still very important to you. And even though someone else might have it worse, or someone else might be going through something that you deem worse, it has nothing to do with the importance of what you're going through. What you're going through is still, if this is like a really tough time for you, then it's still a really tough time for you. It doesn't matter if someone else is having a tougher time. Acknowledge the fact that you are having a hard time right now and you are going through these difficult emotions, and don't dismiss them, and don't negate them, and don't make yourself feel bad for having them. Lee says, right now I feel like I'm on an infinity loop with this stuff, but it will pass. Buffy says, truth. You have to face your fears and pain to get to the next step. Exactly. The only way out is through, right? The only way out is through. Okay. Lee says, damn, I'm kind of smart. Exactly. We have our moments, Lee. You and I, we have our moments. Okay. So acceptance. Here's what acceptance looks like. This is happening. I have to figure out how to proceed. Isn't that simple? It doesn't say, this is happening and that's okay, or this is happening and I'm learning to like it, or anything like that. It's just, acceptance is just looking at the situation for what it is. It is what it is. As cliche as that is, this is happening. I don't have to like it. In fact, I don't like it, but this is happening. I have to figure out the best way to move forward. That's called acceptance. So he says, David Kessler, there is power in acceptance. That's where we regain control. That's because until we get to acceptance, sadness, anger, denial, bargaining, depression, all of this is disempowering. We feel helpless. We feel so unable to do anything about our situation. But once we accept the situation, that's where we regain our power, because all of the control is in this moment, right? In this present moment, and accepting the moment for what it is. Okay. So he was saying that once we move to acceptance, we can say, okay, I can wash my hands. I can keep a safe distance. I can learn how to work virtually. By making I can statements rather than I can't. I have to, but I can't. That's one of the worst things that we could ever say to ourselves. I have to, but I can't. I have to do this, but I can't. I have to go to work, but I can't because of this whole coronavirus thing. I have to pay my bills, but I can't because I have no money. I want to do this, but I can't. So rather than disempower yourself even more and continue spiraling down into that powerless, dark place called despair and hopelessness and depression, the way out of that is by making I can statements. I can wash my hands. At 39 years old, I'm just now finding out I didn't know how to wash my hands. No wonder I was so disgusting all the time. I didn't know you were supposed to get under the fingernails, and 20 seconds is a long time. Like, what in the world? I had no idea. So one good thing about all this, I finally now know how to wash my hands. Anyways, I can wash my hands. I can keep a safe distance from people, right? I can learn to work virtually. I can start my own YouTube channel, for example. I can start blogging. I can start writing articles. I can do this. I can start a podcast on Anchor for free. Just talking to my phone and recording episodes. Share my ideas. These are all things I can do. I remember when I was talking to the suicide hotline, the gentleman on the phone, he told me, June, you really ought to look into getting in, a therapist or a counselor, someone you can talk to, a professional, and he was saying there's lots of resources where it's not that expensive. And I told him I can't. I was like, even if I could afford a therapist, I don't have time. When do I have time? I was like, I work every day. I have to walk my dogs before I leave to work. I walk them afterwards, feed them in between, try to cook myself something to eat. I got to do the dishes. I got to do the laundry, Doing the laundry is one thing. Folding it and putting it away, that's a whole, it's like, wow. And so I got to mow the lawn. I was like, there's just so much on my plate. When would I ever have time to go? I can't see a therapist or a counselor. And he told me, June, rather than say things like you can't, say things that you can do. He was like, you can listen to audiobooks. And I was like, yeah, I have Audible. I've been listening to some books. He made some suggestions. He was like, a lot of these books, they're not going to, a therapist or a counselor is not going to tell you anything that much different than what's in these books, So it's like, you're still going to be able to get the same information. So it's like, you can listen to audiobooks. That's an option. And then he was like, you can, oh, shoot, where's my car keys? Oh, it's in my room. But you can do, where was I going? Oh yeah, but he was saying I can listen to podcasts, I can listen to audiobooks, I can join groups, support groups. So rather than talk about things that you can't do, which is disempowering, think about the things that you can do, because there are always something that you can do. Um, let's see. Lee says, this is kind of silly, but it's like sliding back into your skin and adjusting so I can move forward. Mm-hmm. When you stomp your feet in the ground. Julie says, so much unknown. Yeah, right. Buffy, I'm a great therapist. Years of receiving has helped me. I'm free. Oh, nice. Raquel says, I think everyone is having a hard time right now. Probably the one time when everyone has the understanding how everyone is feeling. A lot more compassion going around. Yeah. And, I think that once we label it, once we call it something, all of these feelings that we're going through, these are very powerful, strong emotions that we have to deal with. And once we name it, once we give it a name and label it, now we can manage it better. Now we can understand it better. And I think that's why it's so important to understand that what we're going through right now is called grief. Let's name it. Let's call it something. Now we can manage it better. We can move through it easier, without making some of the mistakes that I made when I was going through, the grieving process of my divorce. I would get drunk and angry. I went on my personal Facebook page and made myself look like a complete asshole. One moment. I think they need to move my car. Let me go see if they can find the keys. Okay. Sorry about that, guys. If anyone's still here. Lee says, that's so true, Raquel. Buffy, I listen to tons of podcasts. Agree. Sometimes we have to distract ourselves. Yeah. And not just distract ourselves, but I think it's productive to either in written form, in a blog article, or even just a Facebook post. Some people are posting these really long Facebook posts. But or even in a journal, just writing it down, trying to distill the lessons that can be learned from our difficult situations, right? Our difficult times. Oh, excuse me. So true, Buff. Julie says, so true, Buff. You still here? Okay, nice. So the thing is, we never grow through easy times. Times of ease and comfort, they actually prevent us from growing and evolving, right? For example, there's a story, I was watching a documentary called South Pacific Islands, I think. South Pacific Islands. Anyways, it was a documentary about the South Pacific Islands. And there's this island called Stevens Island. It's around New Zealand. And there's a wren called Lyle's wren, or they call it Stevens Island's wren. And when they discovered it, it was a lighthouse keeper who had a cat named Tibbles, Mr. Tibbles. And his cat went out and found this flightless bird that was living on this island and brought it to his master as a gift, like cats do, because they're psychotic. Anyways, so this psychotic murderer lays his fresh kill in front of his owner's door, and this man, being an enthusiast of of nature, he immediately recognizes that this is a new type of species of bird that they don't know about back in England. So he sent it back as a sample, and he heard back from the institute over there, and they were saying, yes, indeed, this is a new species. Can you send a better sample, one that's not mangled up so much? And by the time he got that message, he had to send a message back letting them know, unfortunately, I must inform you that there are none left on the island. They're extinct. They are now extinct. The same cat that discovered the bird also wiped them out. Because here's what they found. Here's what they theorize: that this Stevens Island's wren flew over to this island long years ago, right? Hundreds of years ago, maybe. And they originally flew there, so they were able to fly. But because they had no need to, there was no natural predators on that island, and there's so much food on the ground, these birds just didn't have to fly anymore because there was no threat. Life was easy. So over hundreds of years, generations and generations of this, now they just they don't have the ability to fly anymore, right? Because life was easy, and everything they needed was right there on the ground. There was no threats. So now here comes this cat. One predator wipes out the whole species because they didn't have to challenge themselves. They didn't have to keep their muscles strong because there was no challenges or difficulties. Life was easy and comfortable, and it led to their extinction. That's why I believe that it's only in times of difficulty, challenges in our lives, that help us grow stronger. Without the need to test ourselves, to strengthen our resolve, to strengthen our character, right? Without the need to develop resiliency, we're just going to become soft. And then an event like this, a worldwide pandemic, might be too much for some people because their life was so easy. They're not used to challenges. Kind of like I said, I've never really counted myself lucky before, but now looking back on losing my business, going severely in debt, not knowing how I was going to pay my bills or if I would ever get out of this mountain of debt, getting my car repossessed, having to walk to the grocery stores with my daughters, you know, just trying to budget how I'm going to cook dinner for them with $8, buy a pack of spaghetti noodles, buy a pack of, Alfredo sauce or tomato sauce or something, and then maybe a small 1 pound thing of ground beef so I can make some meatballs. And I feed my family with $8 at night. It's like, and I had to walk to the grocery store to get it. I don't know. It's like, I never thought I was lucky before. But now going through all of that, crying uncontrollably at night, sobbing, hoping and wishing, praying that somebody would come and help me. Somebody would just come and bail me out, save the day for me, that some hero out there would come and help me, and realizing there was no one coming. There's no Prince Charming out there coming to save you. There's no hero coming to save the day for me, Once I realized that, it really almost angered me. And that anger kind of gave me the fuel I needed to get going and get started. I remember one time I wrote on my journal, on the calendar even, the date Caesar Milan was going to come up to my door where I was grooming out of my house, and he was going to make me a star, right? Because I'm the dog groomer. And this is how delusional I was, and I just didn't even know. But I literally thought that that's just how life works. If I'm a good boy and I believe enough, somebody's going to come and save the day for me. There is a Prince Charming out there coming for me. And so I thought that if I could just meet the man, if I could just meet Caesar Milan, I'm sure he would notice it. He would immediately recognize something, a quality in me or something, and he's going to make me a co-star of his show or something, or I don't know. And so the day that I wrote on the calendar where he would come meet me, he didn't come. So then that night I had a dream where I was walking on the beach and I saw Caesar Milan. I'm like, what? My heart starts beating fast. And I was like, here it is. Here's my chance. I knew it, So I run over to him, run as fast as I can. Now I'm out of breath and I'm just trying to unload on him, right? Just tell him everything about how much he inspired me, all that stuff, and I owe him my life, all this stuff. It's like, I owe him my life? Seriously? Like, he somehow, when he was a child, flew to Korea and, banged my mom. I don't know. Anyways, delusional, right? I wasn't thinking. So I'm just telling him all of the stuff, right? And I'm thinking in my mind, because I can see his face, like, I'm thinking in my head, back off, dude. Like slow it down, like you're coming on too strong. You're freaking him out. So I'm trying to stop. I'm trying to catch myself. It's already too late. And Cesar Milan just smiles. He says, "Thank you. I really appreciate that. You're really friendly. I really appreciate it, but I gotta go." And I just looked at him. I was like, "Of course you do. You're Cesar Milan." And he smiled. He was like, "I really appreciate that." He was like, "I thank you so much, but I'm getting ready for a show tonight, and I gotta go." And so he walks off, and I'm standing there just crying. Now tears are coming down my eyes because I blew it. I'm just telling myself, "You fucking idiot. You fucking blew it." Like you got your chance right there. You had Cesar Milan right in front of you, and you acted like a fucking idiot, like usual. And you fucking blew it because you're a fucking dick. And I was just so mad at myself, just talking to myself like this. And then I woke up in tears, still crying. And that's when I realized it was a dream. And this is how delusional I was. My first thought was, oh, it was just a dream. I didn't actually freak him out. I still got a chance. It's like the moral of the story went right over my head. But then the next thought, which was like the most clear-headed moment I had up until then, the very next thought was a question. The question in my head was, what else did you expect? Seriously. I was like, oh shit. What else did I expect? What? He was nice, he was friendly, and he was busy. What else did I expect? Did I expect him to take me on stage with him that night? Did I expect him to take me home like a lost puppy or something? Like, what did I expect from the man? Right? That's when I realized Seth Godin is right. There's no hero out there for you. There's no Prince Charming coming to save the day for you. And the faster we realize this, the faster. That's when I realized if I want a dog grooming show, I need to just make one on YouTube. Boom. So I made my channel, right? Well, I already had my channel, but I started to really focus on making videos the way I wanted to, and share the information that I thought was important, right? And I'll just do it my way. And then I wrote the books. I published 2 books, and then anything I want to do, I started writing blog articles because I realized I don't need permission. No one's gonna give me permission. If you're waiting for someone to bless you, choose you, give you their blessing, I now give you permission, Buffy or Lee Rowley or Raquel. You now have my permission to go and be great. Other than me, no one's gonna come and do that for you. No one's gonna give you permission. You just gotta pick yourself, and you just have to say, these are some ideas that are important to me, and this is the way I want to share it. I don't want to be told how to say this stuff or how to share this information, or I should stream every Monday at 5, or I should be on 3 times a week, or I should be consistent and all this stuff, or I should watch my language. Fuck all that, because if it's not enjoyable for me, then I don't want to do it, and this is more enjoyable for me because this feels real. Let's see here. Wow. Okay. Lee says, I've taken up a new hobby to give my hands and brain something fun to focus on. Journaling more right now. Nice. Yeah, I recently wrote in my journal, and I noticed that the last time I wrote in it was 2 months ago, back in February. Guess what I was writing about? My bills. I was worried about my bills. It's like, wow, that's what I was worried about back 2 months ago. Anyways. Good for you. What new hobby? Buffy says. Raquel says, it's not just adults going through this. It's our kids as well. Yeah, and our kids are watching us. They might not be saying a lot, but they're watching us. Um, Lee says junk journaling and paper rafting. Nice, nice. And junk journaling is when you cut out letters and stuff from all sorts of paper. And yeah. Anyways, that's awesome. Buffy says at Raquel, right? Seniors, people missing weddings, funerals, so sad. Yeah, it's crazy times right now. Um, Buffy says, "Damn cat." And speaking about funerals and how everyone grieves differently. When I lost my great aunt to old age, and this was probably 20 years ago. When I went to the funeral, she's my great aunt, right? All right, all right, there we go. Anyways, so at the funeral, afterwards, when we were having the reception, we were all gathered to have dinner. Um, I remember my cousin, who was my great aunt's daughter, laughing so loud and just laughing and joking. And I remember her saying like, "Well, I never do the dishes and I never cook and all this stuff." And I remember my mom, and she was just at first was just like, "I can't believe she's acting like that at her mother's funeral," you know. And I was maybe 20 at the time, and I was thinking like same thing, like how could she act so happy and be so loud, you know? But now I realize everyone grieves differently. Maybe her tears came later that night when no one was around. Maybe she couldn't handle those emotions at that moment in front of people, you know? So I realize now that everybody does grieve differently. And by understanding that people who are losing loved ones right now, people who have people that they care about in the hospital with the coronavirus right now, struggling for their lives, we don't know. There's so much that people are going through that when we see someone behaving in a way that we disagree with, right now, because we're all collectively grieving, this has never happened before, but we are now in a collective grieving mode as a planet. We're grieving our loss of normalcy. We're grieving the loss of connection. We're grieving our loss of financial stability, everything. So when we see people behaving in ways that maybe they wouldn't normally, that maybe out of character or behaving extremely selfishly, people hoarding toilet paper, people panic buying, rather than point the finger and judge and get mad at them, we can be more compassionate once we understand what we're going through is grief, and that's just one of their ways of coping with it. You remember, it's important to judge the actions, but not the person, right? I think it's very important if I see a young man going over and knocking an older woman over and taking her purse and running off with it. I think it's very important as a society, it's almost a civic duty to judge that person's actions, right? Say that's not okay. That behavior is not okay. And I might run after him. If I catch him, I'm going to make him regret doing what he did. But I have to be careful and not judge the person because maybe he's in a desperate situation. Maybe his kid is starving at home. Who knows? So rather than judge the person, I think that it's not our place to judge the person or their heart, but it is kind of our duty, right, as a society, to judge people's actions and say that's not okay. So, like the couple who wiped out their meat department, just bought all the meat and left nothing for anyone else, and they had no children. They're just boyfriend girlfriend up in Canada. When we understand what caused that, they're scared, you know, and they're grieving. You know, it's like laughing at a funeral. Yeah, it might not be appropriate, and they'll probably regret it later, but we act out of fear, you know. But anyways, um, damn cat, sad and scary. Lisa's kids are confused and suffering because their whole lives changed overnight. Yeah, yeah, and they see their parents, scared and worried. Lisa's, hey now, cats are part of the world too. um, Buffy, I love cats. Just meant that damn kid, that dark, yeah, the one that killed the bird on the island. Buffy, just kidding. I know you do. No, seek and you will find. You must follow your own path. Lee says, I just realized I've had several people, quote, give me permission, and I didn't believe them. Yeah, that's the thing. It doesn't matter how many people give you permission to be great. If you yourself can't believe it, it's never going to happen. And I realize the same thing with my subscribers on YouTube and everything. I almost feel silly how much I pushed for it, how much I wanted to get the subscriber count. Really the goal was just 10,000. Because once I got 1,000, which I thought was impossible, I was like, maybe I can get 5,000. And then it slowly went up to 5,000. I was like, oh my God, if I could just get 10,000 subscribers, I think I would just be able to just die happy. And then I got 10,000 subscribers. And then it was like, well, let me see if I can get 15. Let me see if I can get 20, I realized it was never going to be enough. There's another disease out there that affects a lot of us. More, I think it's more, maybe not more deadly, but I think it's just as serious a disease as the coronavirus. The disease is called more, and it prevents us from ever being satisfied with what we actually have. And I realized that there was never going to be enough subscribers. There's never going to be enough likes. There's never going to be enough people who like me to cover up the fact that I don't like me. So that's what I needed to work on, is finally being able to see the person that others see in me. Because I know that a lot of times when people come and they meet me and they want to take selfies and they want a picture with me and things like that, I always tell them, like, honestly, I'm sorry if I misled you with my videos into thinking that I'm a good guy. I'm not. I'm a piece of shit. I just want to be honest with you. And they tell me, you're not a piece of shit. They're like, you're a really good guy. And this one lady told me that she must have seen every single one of my videos. Like hundreds. And I was like, I'm sorry. I was like, first of all, let me just apologize, and why would you do it? But she told me, like, I can see it in you. She was like, you can't hide it over that long of a period, over that many videos. She was like, you're the same guy in all the videos. And she was telling me that you're a great guy. And I realized, like you, Lee, I have to get to the point where I see the great guy that they see. It's like that saying, I wish I was the guy that my dogs think I am, But yeah. Let's see here. Buffy, you never know what someone is going through. Never judge a book by its cover. I like to give compliments to people. As a stranger did that once daily as I passed to work, it changed me and wish they knew. Truth, it's insidious. Bingo, she's 100% right. But yeah, that's interesting because I try to do that myself. No matter what, even at the cashier or at Publix, if I read their name and it's a unique name, I'll tell them, oh my God, I love your name. I remember this one lady, she was making a sandwich for me at Publix, and I was ordering a sub, and she was just so friendly and so nice about it, and I was just complimenting her and about how friendly she is, and I read her name, it's Angel. I was like, that name fits you. I was like, that name suits you so well. You are an angel, and she smiled really big. But yeah, it only takes a moment out of our day, right, Buffy, to just give somebody a compliment. But who knows how much that one compliment would mean to that one person, or even just me. It makes me feel good. Lee says, I always think I've just fooled them. I wish I was too. Julie says, we need to learn to love ourselves. Exactly. Be okay with not being okay, right? Just be okay with ourselves, Oh, I'm overweight. Oh man, I'm overweight. I wish I was skinnier. It's okay. I'm just overweight right now. Doesn't mean I'm always going to be overweight. Well, it's my decision, right? I can choose. But anyways, again, bringing us back to the present moment And why acceptance is so important, because it grounds us. It brings us back to this moment where we actually have control and we have the power in this present moment to do something with our lives, or at least how we're, to choose to look at something differently. And remind yourself, in this moment I'm okay. And also, one last note that I made here: allow yourself to grieve. Feel the feelings, observe them, embrace them, and then let them go. It'll pass. I remember this book called The Full Catastrophe Living by John Kabat-Zinn. And he said, it's impossible for you to feel the anxiety forever. He was like, even if you wanted it to last forever, even if somehow you develop this sick pleasure from it, and now you love feeling this tightness in your chest and, shallow breathing and all of this, tension, anxiety building up inside. Let's say you actually like it now and you don't want it to end. He's saying it always ends. It's impossible for it to last forever, right? Depression, sadness, fear, anything. So he's saying, because it's illogical to think that it's going to last forever, allow yourself to feel it. He was saying, you're going to feel it anyways. If you're already feeling scared, just admit it, just acknowledge it and let yourself feel it. Because you're going to feel it anyways, so you might as well really feel it and really be an observer to it. And he's saying, when we observe it and we embrace it rather than try to push it away and fight it, because the more we push, the more we fight, the stronger it gets. So rather than try to push or resist or ignore it, we embrace it. Say, come here, fear. Come here, anxiety. Come here, worry. I remember you. How you been? And let it just wash over you, right? And then as long as you don't resist, and as long as you accept it and you embrace it and you really observe it, observe your own body, it'll flow. Because this let me see if I can find it in my Audible. It's a book called I Don't Want to Talk About It. And I want to give you the author's name. I Don't Want to Talk About It by Terrence Real. It's about male depression. He says in that book at the very end, depression freezes, acceptance flows. When we refuse to acknowledge the depression or the sadness or the anger or whatever it is you're feeling, first of all, label it. Try to give it a name. What is it that I'm feeling? This feels like anxiety. So then rather than try to ignore it or fight it or resist it or anything like that, because that freezes it, and that will guarantee that will always be there for you to deal with later. Rather than let it freeze and always be there somewhere in the back of your mind, by accepting it, by embracing it, by allowing ourselves to feel it, it flows. And it flows through us and eventually passes. And that's how we're able to let it go. So, with your, whatever it is, that you're feeling, whatever stage of grief you're in, you might be in anger. You might still be angry. And it's also non-linear. We go back and forth. We can wake up feeling sad, and then by 10 o'clock in the morning, you're angry because your coffee maker won't work, And then you're feeling, then you start bargaining with God. God, if I just keep it together today and I don't lose my temper and I don't go off on somebody, then maybe tomorrow will be better. Maybe tomorrow my coffee maker will work. Things like that. Like, whatever it is you're going through, try to give it a name, understand it, and then accept it, embrace it, observe it, and allow it to flow. Buffy says, for real, a stranger smiled to strangers. Good morning, have a nice day. And then one day I realized how sweet it was and how it began to change my day. Lee says, when I worked, I made a point to compliment at least 5 people a day. I'd say, hey, that color looks great on you. And I could see them light up. Nice. Buffy says, receive this, June. You are awesome. You are worthy, and you are loved for bringing a smile to our faces. Joy, wow, thank you, Buffy. I appreciate that. Julie says, that's great, Buffy. Yeah, it is, right? Shoot. Raquel says, Buffy, agree. His way of words puts into perspective. Wow, thank you, Raquel. I appreciate that so much. But yeah, hopefully that was helpful. I just wanted to share these few notes that I jotted down. If you get a chance, I would highly suggest reading that article. The article is by Scott Baronato. He's a senior editor of Harvard Business Review. It's about David Kessler's ideas on grief and how to manage our grief and why it's so important to understand that what it is we're going through right now is called grief. The website is https://that.org/2020/03/that-discomfort-your-feeling-is-grief. And I put that in the description of this video as well. It's an amazing article. It really helps understand what is causing us to feel, what's causing us to grieve, that it's a collective grieving that's in the air, and understanding that once we understand what it is, then we can manage how we move through it better. It doesn't change the situation. The situation still is what it is, but it helps us navigate our way through it better. Just like with my divorce. Once I understood the stages of grief that I was going through, and once I understood where this behavior was coming from, it was coming from anger, it was coming from sadness, I would bargain, and when bargaining wouldn't work, I would get angry again, and then I would start to feel sad and depressed. But once I understood why I was flipping back and forth, and why I was unable to get a grip on these powerful emotions that was just running my life, it didn't change the fact that I was still going through a divorce. I'm now divorced. It's final. The situation didn't change, but how I navigated through it got so much better. Because I realized I'm not there yet at the acceptance phase. I am now, but even now, sometimes things will get brought up in conversation, and I'll get a trigger, and it'll trigger an old memory or old emotion. I'll get mad again, and then I have to catch myself and allow myself to feel it. Say, okay, I'm feeling angry. Let's really feel it. Let's observe where this is coming from. Let's look at it, and then let it pass. And then I'm able to have a more productive conversation with my ex the next day, or once I've calmed down. But understanding the grieving process and understanding what kind of emotions it causes to rise up inside of us, and also understanding that these emotions, the way our mind works, we can't fight it, and we can't force ourselves to just not feel them. The more we try, the more powerful these emotions become, and also the more painful it becomes to deal with. So, because when we fight it, it fights back. So rather than fight it, we embrace it. Then we'll see the anger or sadness or depression or anxiety embrace us as well. And we can hold each other, love each other, and say, thank you for the lesson that you brought to me. And then we let them go. We send them off with love and appreciation for the lesson that they brought to us. And these difficult times, these challenging times in our lives, is what actually helps us grow stronger. It builds strength of character. It builds a resiliency so that we can get through even tougher times in the future, if they come. Okay. Raquel says, Buffy, agree. His way of words puts into... Oh, nice. I already read that, but I liked it so much. Had to read it again. Buffy says, at Julie... At Raquel, it's just so true. I feel wiser when I watch. Nice. I raise people's IQ, right? Julie says, this has been a great live. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for joining, Julie. I really appreciate it. And hopefully this helps. Hopefully these ideas will help get you through this grieving process that we're in. that a lot of us didn't even know we're in, you know? Just like when I was grieving, going through the stages of grief when I was going through divorce, and I had no idea I was grieving, you know? And I would lash out and just act like an idiot. I was taking selfies of myself at the gym because I saw my body start to change. So I was working out, you know, I was pumping. I was trying to make my ex jealous, like an asshole, right? Like an asshole. And I knew she was watching on my Instagram, so I would take pictures, you know, with my shirt off, you know, and things like that. Just trying to make her angry, trying to make her jealous, trying to get a reaction out of her because I was so angry and I was such an idiot. I was such an asshole, you know. But once I realized where this was coming from and why I was behaving that way, I stopped. I was able to stop acting like an idiot. And I was able to manage my grief better, right? So that's why I think it's so important for us to right now recognize what we're going through right now is the stages of grief. And who knows what stage you're in? We're all different, and we might be, you know, going back and forth in between several different phases or stages of grief. But understanding that we are grieving and understanding where these emotions are coming from, when we feel angry when we're driving by a park and we see all these people having a picnic and everything, we feel angry and look at them, so selfish, so inconsiderate, they're killing people. Wait, maybe time out. Maybe this is anger that I'm feeling because I'm grieving. You know, maybe they're in denial. Maybe they're, you know, in the denial stage right now, and that's how they're able to cope with it right now. Who knows? But once we understand this, we can be less judgmental and more compassionate to our fellow human beings. Okay. Raquel says he had to get A+ in speech. No, actually, I suck at speaking, which is why I'm you know, I'm so like passionate about Toastmasters, because every time I make a speech at Toastmasters, oh my goodness, like it's getting better. Now I don't have that, oh, I'm gonna get an evaluation, they're gonna tell me how much I sucked, you know. Now I actually get a pen and paper. I'm like ready. I'm ready to take notes, you know, because I want to be a better speaker, you know. So now I love it when they tell me that I didn't do this well, or I could have improved on this, or I could have done this better. I'm taking notes, you know. Whereas before it was like, oh, but people are listening. You're saying this in front of everybody, you know. But the word value is right there in the word evaluation. That's where we get all the value, is when someone gives us some critical feedback and lets us know where we can improve. Otherwise, if they just tell me that I did a great job, they're not doing me any favors. They haven't helped me at all, you know? Buffy, bargaining, truth, never works. Yeah, it doesn't. I tried. Lee says, and learn to not judge ourselves for this process and where we are. Exactly. Understanding that, yeah, I did behave like a total jackass, and I still feel embarrassed. I still feel ashamed anytime anybody brings that up. And also some people bring it up because they know that that's a sensitive spot. So if we're in an argument or something, some people will bring it up, and that's when they got me. I just turn over and I submit. I show my belly, because it's like, yeah, you got me. I have no defense for that. I still feel ashamed. You got me, you know. But again, once I understood that that was part of the grieving process, and I was going through those stages of grief, it helps me not feel so judgmental about myself and understand that, you know, I made a mistake because I was not thinking clearly, because I was grieving. Raquel says, it took me years to get to the acceptance stage for my divorce. Once I did, I was a whole new person. So much weight lifted off of me. Nice, Raquel. Denise. Well, Denise, I love you, June. Go. What's Denise? Oh my God, that reminds me. You texted and asked about my brother, and I totally didn't reply back. I'm so sorry. Oh my goodness. Oh, I got so many messages coming in. But yeah, Denise, I'm sorry. My brother's doing good. You know, hopefully we'll keep it that way by, you know, being safe. But yeah, how are you and your family doing, Denise? Oh my goodness. Dee Dee's been counting her ums. It's funny. Nice. You know what though? The funny thing about the ums and ahs, because I love being the ah counter, because it's just interesting to listen for that. Because when we listen for how many filler words people use, it's astonishing. However, I did some research on ums and ahs, and from what the studies show, it's actually not a good idea to eliminate all your ums and ahs. Now, if you're delivering a professional speech, yeah, I can see where it can be helpful and make you look more credible, make you look more professional by and more polished by not having ums and ahs. However, when you're having a conversation with someone, they found that people who don't use ums and ahs and filler words, uh, it's harder to relate to them. People say that they're not relatable. They feel it almost sounds robotic. It doesn't feel human. So they were saying that when you're having a conversation with people, you know, it's not a good idea to try to eliminate all your ums and ahs and sound very professional and polished, because it kind of takes away the human factor, and you seem a little too perfect, and it's not relatable or enjoyable, So I would tell Dee Dee, don't stress so much about the ums and ahs, just talk. However, when you're practicing for a speech in a public setting, yes, of course, try to tone that down. But alrighty. Hopefully this was helpful. I gotta get going. I have a brisket that I'm about to barbecue, and what is that? I got a brisket. I got broccoli. I got beef sausage, and green beans. So I'm gonna put all of that in the grill, smoke it up at different times, of course. But anyways, gotta make some dinner for my brother and I. Um, Buffy says, I agree with you because, I'm only human and very flawed. Exactly, Buffy. No, here's a great example, though, of how ums and ahs and you knows can take away from the effectiveness, from the impact of your speech. Imagine if Martin Luther King Jr. got up in front of everyone and said, you know, I have a dream that, someday, our children will be, you see what I'm saying? Uh, so basically I have a dream, that someday, we're all gonna see. It just kind of takes all of the power out of it, right? I have a dream that one day, right? It's like powerful. So that's the example I like to use is filler words. Try putting in filler words with any famous speech. You know, like JFK. Instead of saying "ask not what your country can do for you, but ask what you can do for your country." What if he said, you know, like basically, don't ask what your country can do for you, uh, because actually, basically, it's like better to ask. You know what I'm saying? So, anyways, so that's just a little thing there. But when you're having a personal conversation with someone, ums and ahs makes you relatable, makes you more human, makes the conversation more authentic and real. When you're making a public speech, though, it takes away from the message. Okay. Raquel, gotta run. Thanks for making my heart warm. Thank you, Raquel. I gotta run too. Lee says, this was very helpful. Didn't realize I was in this again. Me neither. I didn't either. But now that I do, it's really helping because I'm using the same techniques, the same strategies and methods that I used to get over my divorce. I'm able to now apply that to this because now I understand I'm going through the same thing. I'm going through a loss of identity, a loss of normalcy, the uncertainty of the future, the loss of income. All of this is having a big effect on me, as I'm sure it is with you as well. Lee says that's why they have speech writers. Yeah, but you know me. If anybody wrote a speech for me and told me this is what you're gonna say, I would get up there. I would say, okay, sure, cool story, bro, and just let him think that he got me, and I'm gonna go up and say exactly what they wrote. And I would do this. I would get up there. I would crumble up the sheet of paper that they wrote for me. I'll say, by the way, go fuck yourself, so and so. And that's how I lead into my speech, because I don't like to be told what to do. I don't know, just the way I grew up, I have a very adverse reaction to being told what to do or what to say. And so a speechwriter just wouldn't be a good idea for me. We would clash. um, but anyways, hopefully this was at least helpful information. And when you get a chance, if you have some time, I would definitely recommend that article. What the article is called, "The Discomfort That You're Feeling Is Grief." Give that article a read. I hope it helps. And let's get through this together, right? We will get through this together. And we'll come out stronger because of it. See you guys.